Thank you everyone for coming. And I'd like to talk about, share one of my IBL experiences, which is a little different from, the talks about the past 2 days. So this is what I have been doing in the last few semesters. Basically use IBL to for the independent study students. All right, so here's the outline of my presentation. I'm going to mention a little bit about my past IBL experience, the classes taken, for example, the classes taken in grad school and IBL classes, and workshop and the conferences and some activities. And then I will just give us some descriptions of how I did for this independent study with the IBL approach. All right, the classes. So to start with my past IBL classes, and so there's I took a couple classes at grad school with IBL approach. Basically, it's more method. So one is the very traditional one, and basically it's traditional meaning. Basically, the class was provided the list of problems, no textbook, and no consultation with the reference, and etc. No the discussions among the people in the class. So very restricted. And the second one was more modified versions, more method. You know, the classes basically we have textbook, and we had you know, the sort of discussions, and but the main theme is again, so we try to solve the problems. So we still have the list of problem and a presentation for each of the class. As a grad student, I was so first time I saw this the first hand of this type of instructions, it was not comfortable, you know, to begin with. I think the first very traditional one is sort of intimidating because there are so many rules. We don't know if the class didn't really know if he's really the rule has to be followed. For example, we had students, you know, check the book, reading the book, even the book in the class. So that you know, so it's no. And also the level of the class, of you know, the background of the information are different, so that makes the class, you know, a little harder to run, because some people know this fact, and then the instructor, professors felt like, you know, this information is from the check in the reference, you know. So there's something not working well. So I was thinking back then, if I'm going to teach the class, I want to make sure everybody knows what's going on, you know. So what's the rule to follow, and make sure, double make sure that's the things we have to follow. The second, my IBL class in the grad school went really well. And so, you know, so it's because everybody know, so the class was taught by a experienced more method professor. He used to come here and so I also learned one thing. The fact is, you know, so I just point out the fact is, if I'm going to teach this class again, so this thing I want to watch for this the pace and the coverage of the class, because it's once we know, if you know, once we have this presentation, so it's the pace of the class is not as fast as you just lecture by, you know, the class taught by just lecturing. So, you know, there's a certain amount of the courage we have to be watched for. Okay, so to get me, you know, after grad school, to get me really started to do this at the IBL, thinking about the IBL class was, you know, so I attended the 06 workshop, IBL workshop, and run by the Stan and Kuo, and so I learned a lot from that class. So start from very beginning. So I had the very beginning, so the cross design, created problems, what to expect in the watch videos, etc. So that's really they get me to, I guess, some footing to this. Really rethink about the teaching the class with this approach. And since then, I taught several classes with sort of partially IBL class, and so it's IBL approach. So as here, as I mentioned, partially because I use the sort of mixture. I lecture some part of the classes, the courses, and I also then let some portions to be done by using this this IBL approach. I give a list of problems, student do the presentation, etc. So the one of the things I didn't do this wholly, so I think the main thing is our campus, the students, not like typical traditional students. So in each of the class we had lots of the repeating working students, repeaters, this. So that's make me to think about when I was in the grad school, so to run such a class, you should have try to have some people stay at the same line, and so that's easy to run. So that's also the reason I did the class for this part of the class. So when we get into the materials, certain part of the materials, and then that we almost at the same, everybody's same standard, started the same line, and that's easy to run. So and also I get this attend some conference to get these things support and learning new things, etc. So that's the now. The second part of my talk is, so at our department is not big, so usually we don't have a whole lot of classes offered every semester. We have about 300 majors. So that means, so we often got a student approach to the professor to ask to do some independent study, if available, so that's we just do some compensating. So so that's I felt so several students asked me the last few semesters, so I guess so they said, okay, can you do some are you going to be available to do independent study with me, things like that. So I said, well, gee, that's the good, that's a great idea, so I can do this things, the whole things by IBL, so this is I can run my own autonomy, things like that. So that's what I started. So I did something before with the the independent study, but without IBL approach. So usually I get so in the first last couple of years I have the students approach me. So I had to run the independent study. Some numbers are usually 2, 1 sometimes. I get the largest group is 4. We do things together, and I had some graduate student, master graduate students, and also undergraduate student. Their background usually, so this is something which is in a sense is it's different from the regular class. So their background is sort of uniform. We picked it so we don't have something that different levels. Some people know things, so it's a relatively uniform. And we pick the topics and so interesting topics, and which is we have a some sort of a requirement that for this to be done in the department. That means that we can't pick a topic of the course, a subject which is the regular course offered by the department. So for example, real analysis can be we can do the real analysis for sure. So, the abstract object, no. So we just pick something special topics. So we just try to check the schedule. So basically, I check the schedule and my schedule, and we meet weekly, once or twice. Sometimes 1 hour, 2 hours. It depends. It depends. So the times we will meet, and basically, so this is sort of IBL side. So the students coming to the board to present every time, presenting the topics, presenting the definition, presenting these the proofs of the theories, the lemmas, and also they are presenting the solutions of the problems. And so in the end, towards the end of the semester, I will ask them to complete a project. That's sort of a relatively, a little bit of research project. So as they are graded. So the one thing I should have mentioned this is that is we have to be aware of. I had to, so this is things because the student doing this independent study for credit. Right? I did this not for my workload, so it's just extra. So this is so that's just so you have to. So if so that's what I'm willing to do, right? So that's okay. My role of this is, this is just provide, ask questions, and so I decided what topic to be presented. I decided what problem they should present. I decided to give them some, something like a list of things to present, this thing to do, and provide a guidance. So here's something I observed over these last couple of years, and they are more motivated, and they are more enthusiastic to learn, and so they can, when they do a presentation, they so usually ask questions. I ask them again. Sometimes we stuck one proof, one proof of a theorem. For the whole period, 1 hour, 2 hours. So then we'll just come back the next time, so to finish. So they can be able to more identify the misconception, logic errors. And the more important, these students are becoming more, I can tell they become more independent learners. So that's, so they, the comparison of this with my, very early the groups of people, so this is they are more actively in learning and more confident in learning, and because we have a constant, the constant assessment of what they understand or not, things. So here's some of the comments from the students. They really like, they're really thrilled about this experience. And so I had one student present his project the last spring, and so I will have a couple more too in the fall. So all in all, so this is all by quote. This I have the quote for the Confucius. The last, let me do it, and I'll understand. So that's all.
Thank you. Are there particular topics you think work well for independent study?
Yes, I did several topics before. So I think one of the topics is order theory and lattice theory.
Other questions? Well, let's thank Ben.